This is the ballad of a guy named Jackalope Jim. He was the West's quickest draw, and no one could beat him. At the tender age of 10, he lost his mom and pop. So with a gifted metal arm, became a man of law.
Hey, welcome everybody, and hello viewers. Welcome to our show. This is the birth of Jackalope Junction, and my name is Russ the Big Guy. It's my privilege to introduce to you the founder and visionary behind Jackalope Junction, the world's first steampunk Western story park, and among other things, he's the CEO of Acorn Entertainment Group Incorporated. It's a transmedia storytelling and themed entertainment design company. Welcome everybody, and hello, Greg Shumsky.
Hello, Russ. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Good.
Well, listen, last we talked, we were talking about kind of the overview of, or your visit to IAPA, kind of an overview of the whole concept that we're talking about here, Jackalope Junction, its genesis, and a little bit about how people are going to take lessons home with them, be they kids or adults, based on values and the interaction with the different characters, learning about how they overcame their obstacles in their life, and all the stories are going to be are different, obviously, but it's going to be a very rich environment in terms of story, and then also the immersive, the visual, and all that. And so when people come, I know you wanted to talk about people's experience when they come to Jackalope Junction, the actual story park.
Yeah, we talked about earlier about coming to the park, having seen the videos, the animated show, and reading the books, and knowing what you're going to be, knowing what you're up for when you come to it, because you're going to be stepping into an actual living town back in time. So you are part of this true story, and you're going to realize that the animated series and the books were historical documentation, more or less, of Jackalope Junction. That's the way it really has to feel like. It's not made of stuff. It's the stories are based on actual events that have happened in the world of Jackalope Junction. So you step in the Jackalope Junction, it's kind of like and the people act like they're from Jackalope Junction and talk like they're from Jackalope Junction and stuff like that when you step in. So, but the beauty is anybody else can come in. A couple can come in that don't know it from anything, they've heard about it, or they just see it passing on the freeway. Oh, let's go check it out, right? They could come in, they can have a wonderful day in the park. They can go on some wonderful our attractions are going to be based on their story-based attractions. They're not attractions where we slap story onto it. We actually have the story and then figure out what is the attraction about. They can go to any of the restaurants or shops and enjoy themselves, buy something if they want, eat some great food. We're going to be hopefully working with Texas Roadhouse on the food vendor. They're interested in working with us as the food vendors. So dealing with the whole food thing. So we're gonna have fantastic food, and it's affordable. Getting into the park is affordable. $40 a person for adults and $20 for kids. And you go on a big lawn. There's gonna be an outdoor stage with live entertainment going on all day throughout the day. With different bands, local bands, our own bands, that you could sit out there and have a picnic. You can get food from the picnic camp from Paula Pig's picnic basket, and take it a fried chicken and whatever you want. No tofu, but you could take that over and sit down, and no keto, no tofu, no keto. Sorry,
a lot of vegetarians.
We'll do vegetarian stuff. We can do vegetarian stuff. That's fine. I kid. So we'll do barbecued tofu, but
my daughter hasn't eaten meat in 10 years, so she loves to fry up some tofu.
Yeah,
I think she probably forgot what a piece of meat tastes like by now.
Yeah, right. That's unnatural. So we'll they go on the lawn and have a blanket or sit one of the picnic tables, and then just enjoy the day. And then they can go do the mine cave. We're gonna have a maze inside the mine caves, go on some of the rides, have some comedy. It'll just be a fun, relaxing day. You can pop in for an hour or 4 hours or 8 hours or all day from 9
Yeah.
until 9 at night, and be there for the big kiss goodnight, and camp if you want to. And eventually we'll have a nice little hotel in there, a little boutique hotel based on the 1800s. It's going to be a fantastic experience that you don't, but while you're there, you'll also learn about the story of Jackalope Junction through the newspaper,
Yeah.
through the little placards we're going to have. Here lies 13 miners, etc. Here's the caves where these people were, the whole 9 yards. We're going to be storytelling throughout the whole thing. So even if you don't know what it is, and you're just there for a nice day, through osmosis, you're going to get something that you go at the end and go, wow, not only was that a great bargain, the food was fantastic. The people were nice. There was some weird stuff going on there, and it's a Western town, but it wasn't a Western town.
I heard there were possibly some spirits, 13 spirits. Yeah.
What's the rumbling under the ground about at times?
Yeah.
Why is there an earthquake going on once in a while, et cetera, et cetera? And people go, this place is alive. And
it's multi-layered. That's one of the cool things about it, which I found so compelling, is that, like you mentioned, the family could go there, not knowing anything about it. They could just stumble on it in their journey to the Grand Canyon and say, oh my gosh, let's go there. And they do, and they have a great time. They just take it all on face value, and they're learning things along the way, like we talked about, or like some of those value-based stories and things like that, right? And they maybe, it's like no effort on their part, let's say. So It's all easy. And then someone else at the opposite end of the spectrum, there are people who love to look for Easter eggs. They love to dig and learn the background behind things and connect all the dots. And there will be almost an unlimited amount of stories and, deep down layers of things that are happening that are all connected,
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of interactive things to do for families. From people can mine for their own. We're going to have a sluice set up where people get a bag of dirt, and they can sluice it, and they'll get gems from the actual gems from the caves. Red gems, green gems, blue gems, yellow gems. Maybe even the occasional time crystal might show up in there and take it home. It'll be great. There was a booth at IAPA that was a mining company, or whatever, the sluice company.
Sure.
And they make this beautiful sluice that's big and long, and
I'm familiar.
And and they're great. We're going to have things like that. It's going to be very.
And that's hands-on stuff for kids, which is great.
And adults. It's hands-on, interactive. You're here, and you get to be part of the history of it.
Yeah.
You might get arrested. You might, the deputies might catch you and throw you in the Jackalope Jalopy, which is our paddy wagon, and take you back to the Hooskow. Right?
Oh wow. Yeah.
That might happen. And then your family has to go on a search for certain things to bring them back to prove your innocence.
Well, I'm just concerned that if one of those kids gets a time crystal, that they're going to, disappear into another dimension. Their parents will be very upset.
Yeah, well, we might do that.
Have the attorneys? Have we talked to the attorneys about that at all? Do we have coverage for that, or?
No, we don't. Attorneys, we're not including attorneys in this at all.
Oh, so, no attorneys involved.
Here's the thing.
They squash all the fun.
Two of my big creative heroes as a kid that I loved so much. Okay, well, Walt Disney was one.
Yeah, me too.
He reinvented the amusement park genre.
Yeah.
By creating Disneyland. That was, like I mentioned before, people laughed at or said, just, you're wasting time, Walt. This is so ridiculous. Don't even do it. You're using up our valuable time. And I get that a lot from people. You'll never build it. You're nothing but a hack. Blah, blah, blah. People that are close to me that now I push away and say, you know what? Just wait. and then so Walt Disney was one of my heroes. And then the other one is fictional, was Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka.
Oh, yeah.
And what I love about Willy Wonka, which is kind of who I am,
His version is great. Gene Wilder's version is perfect.
Oh, it's perfect. But what I love about Willy Wonka, the character of Willy Wonka, especially the way he plays it from the beginning when he walks out with the limp and does the somersault, is he doesn't want people to figure out who he is. He wants to always be a little bit of a mystery, and he's mischievous, right? He's got a little bit of that mischievous spirit to him, which I tend to do that to people. I will always joke around with people, and they don't know if I'm serious or not. Maybe I do it too much, but I want to. There's going to be things inside the park that may seem one way, but they're not, and it's going to make people go, "Wait a minute, what just happened here?" And I'm not going to give anything away, but there's going to be several, if not a lot of, not a lot, but quite a few surprises for people that and if you come back a second or third or fourth time or every year, you'll never know what's in store for you until you get there.
That's
We're
great.
not going to be the dragon on top of, that goes off every half hour, every hour on top of Green Guts. We're not going to, which is cool. We're not going to be we got the 10 o'clock parade. We're going to have random stuff happening all the time. And you will never have the same experience you had before. It's just like if you drive into if you go to the grocery store, well, it might get robbed one day.
Yeah.
Life is random. We're not sugarcoating things with our stories, with our characters, but it's going to be a very life is random kind of thing when you go. You never know what's going to happen. You may have said, well, this shootout on the street was at 10 o'clock. I can't wait to see it again. Well, where's the shootout? Well, maybe it happens at 10:15 or 8:45 or doesn't happen at all. Maybe it's a nice peaceful day and there's no shootouts at all. You never know. We're going to make it so every day is going to be different. All the people that live in the town, our townsfolk, will act accordingly to being townsfolk versus the cast member that works at Diagon Alley and speaks perfect American English. So, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I hate to use the term hootenanny, but it's going to be a real hootenanny.
Well, it'll be a hoot at least.
A hoot and a nanny, hootenanny.
That's pretty cool. Great. So we've given them sort of an idea of that, and so let's talk about the timeline a little bit. So Mighty Oak Springs was a mining town, right? So there's no Jackalope Junction yet. We're back in the early 1880s, right? 1880s.
1800s.
1800s. It's Mighty Oak Springs. So what can you tell us about Mighty Oak Springs before Jackalope Jim is in the picture?
Yeah, okay. So Mighty Oak Springs is a very wealthy mining town in the early 1800s. Their product is gems with different properties. So we talked about earlier about Jackalope Jim having local mine caves that he discovers that has these red and blue and green and yellow and yellow gems. That's all he finds. This has the same thing: yellow, green, blue, and red gems that have all these different properties to them. They mine them. They're selling them in droves, just by the bucket full or the train full, to both. So this is now, they start out mining. The Civil War is going on. So their Civil War takes place about the same time as our Civil War. So think of Jackalope Junction being an alternate Earth, basically this whole multi-dimensional Earth, multiverse thing. So they're selling gems to the north and the south. So they're making scads of money. It's a very rich town. So when you go in, you'll notice that there's some clapboard buildings when the town was first built, and there's a lot of more Victorian, nice brick buildings, which is typical of any northern areas like Deadwood, South Dakota, or Williams has brick buildings as well. So there's the mix of the two. Typically, when you go to an Old West town, you expect all the Old West town stuff like Calico or something, or even Disneyland. We're doing it more authentic and realistic to what the area would be like. And especially if it's a rich mining town, what are their buildings going to be like? Very nice. Yeah, there's some chip paint here and there and so on and so forth. But they're doing well. And our foreman is Senior Mole, okay, Antonio Mole. And he's younger, but he's the foreman. He's keeping it safe. And the town elders want more production from the mines. Well, they've never had a mining accident. So they bring in this, and Mole goes, look, we can't up production because we've never had an accident. So the town, this kind of a door-to-door salesman comes by. He's got some robots for sale, and one of them is this mining robot. Oh, this can help you up your production, so on and so forth. Mole's against it, but the town founders want it. Oh, we can increase production and make more money. And what happens is they go into part of the caves that they haven't been in before. They do some research, they do some blasting. Well, there's a huge, massive cave in that they didn't expect. And there's a group of them, and there happens to be 13. There's 20 people in this group. 13 of them, everybody gets out except 13 of the miners. They don't make it out. So they go back to find the bodies of the miners, and they're gone. They can't find them anywhere, including there's a couple children that were in the mines as well playing, and they didn't know about the son and daughter of the Gerties. So what they did in the process is by expose this cave and expose this whole room full of time crystals, which they don't know what they're different colored. They're purple. They look kind of like amethyst. As a matter of fact, I have a time crystal here. I'll show you in the next episode. I have an actual time crystal. So, which I found on my travels when we went to Arizona. We did some digging. I found a time crystal. So cave-in happens. Production gets shut down. Town goes bust. Everybody moves out except for several people stay behind. Mole stays behind. A young girl stays behind who lost her fiance. The Gerties stay behind who lost their children, and a few others. And so that's what happens to Mighty Oak Springs. So it goes bust, and it becomes a ghost town. So it's roughly the 1860s now at this point that it goes bust. 20 some odd years go by, and our hero Jackalope Jim shows up on his travels to find the bad guys that killed his parents, and says, at this point, I'm tired, I'm done. This looks really cool. I want to explore it. He meets Mole and some other people, and they come together and they rebuild the town. And he.
What year is that, do you think?
Somewhere in the 1880s. It was 1880 something.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's 1880s now, give or take.
Yeah.
And they rebuild it, paint it up, fix it up. They rebuild the rope. Jackalope Jim rebuilds the robot that helps clean up the town. He finds another robot that's a janitor robot that was in the town that came as a bundle with the other bot.
And they're using all the gems?
Huh?
They're using all the gems?
No, they're not using any of the gems at all, really. Not
Okay.
yet. They don't use any of the gems at all. They use the gems, yeah, to a point. So the yellow gems are used now. They were used before to light the town. And then the red gems were being used by the town for power, for electricity. So they get more gems. They rebuild the whole system. So they have power again. They have light again. But Jim knows what the gems are because of his past with them. He discovers that the gems in the caves, when he first goes there to the town, and then discovers the mine caves in the back country, that follows these train tracks, and that's where he meets Mole. He discovers the caves have the same gems that he had in his town as a kid. So he's intrigued by it. They meet with a gun in his back from Senior Mole, but they become fast friends. They rebuild the town, and then they rechristen it as Jackalope Junction in the say 1885. So 1885, it gets rechristened as Jackalope Junction, and people start to move back because they hear about it. It's a nice little town, and they keep rebuilding a little bit here and there. And then eventually the county fair moves in, because it's a great place to have a county fair, and life is good, they think. But there's always something, because life can be good and life can be kind of sucky at the same time.
Well, that gets us up to date with Jackalope Jim. All right. So on behalf of Greg and Jackalope Jim and Senior Mole, this is Russ the Big Guy, and we'll see you next time.